goosebumps every time, yeah, 713. Through the 281, yeah, I'm riding. Why they on me? Why they on me? I'm flying, sipping low-key. I'm sipping low-key and hiding. I get those goosebumps
Newcastle United.
Come around,
Wembley is a place for
you ease my mind. You make everything feel fine. Worry about those comments. I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time. I need the hype, throw that to the side, I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around me, throw that to the side, I get those goosebumps every time.
Hello and welcome to Loaded Mag NUFC. This is the reaction show for Newcastle versus Arsenal, where Newcastle have just been robbed in some fashion towards at the very end of that game. But let's say hello to the boys first before we get into the game. Pete, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Yeah, I'm sure we'll get into it, but yeah, it's a horrible feeling to lose in that way. It really, really is. But look, there's lots of caveats to that. There's lots of opinions related to the game today. I'm sure we'll get into it. But yeah, to lose it that late is almost like a sickening feeling. But yeah, it is what it is. But Chris, how are you?
Hungover, mate. Very, very hungover. Very good night had by me and the lads yesterday. But I've been feeling it today. Now I was up until late on in that game. I was fine with the hungoverness because I was enjoying potentially coming home with 3 points. But yeah, took a downward spiral that. But on a personal level, mate, I am all good. Thank you. Dazzler, how are you doing?
Yeah, grand. Grand. Apart from getting sick of these, getting robbed at the death of a point at least. So yeah, this is becoming all too familiar. I hope it's not going to be one of those seasons, but it is still early days. But yeah, we need to start picking up points, I think, now. But let's get into it, boys. Let's get into a bit of the discussion points because there is lots to talk about in both halves. But here was the team news for Newcastle. No Lewis Hall. It was given a break. I think you get a bit more game time now, though. Alanga and Barnes are on the bench. Trips is on the bench as well. But thoughts on the team news? Pete, we'll go to you first.
Yeah, a lot of debate around the team news. To be fair, I think the personnel wasn't too far off what I thought it would be. I think the big debate was how are they going to set up, and I don't think anyone would have expected them to set up the way they did. That burn at left back, I thought we'd been and gone from that a long time ago. So I was really, really. I've got to be honest. It kind of made me sigh a little bit, just like because I wanted to see a formation that was really going to go at Arsenal today, and that just wasn't it for me. So yeah, I was really disappointed to see him left back. I think we need to get past this. I've said it to you boys before. Eddie Howe needs to start making decisions now on players. It shouldn't be let's shoehorn them into a team. Dan Burns should not have started left back today. He should not have. There is no way. And if he's trusting in Botman to be that guy, and rightly so, then Burn finds his way on the bench, and it would have been Burn coming off the bench today, and Livramento left, Trippier right. That's how I would have seen the game. But yeah, other than that, the rest of the players on the pitch, I wasn't surprised at. But it was that really that kind of made me think, I'm not sure if this is right here. But Chris?
Yeah, similar to you, mate. I was disappointed to see Dan Burn left back. Albeit I thought he played well. Bar maybe in the last minute. But yeah, I was Yeah, I was disappointed because I for some reason, I don't know why, maybe it's because we had a big chat around it, and obviously we had the Arsenal Fans TV lads on, in Dan Potts and Lee Judges. But yeah, I was expecting, boys, like a different formation or one that we hadn't seen before, in terms of it, particularly up front. I was expecting something a bit different, and I know Sky thought that we were going to be playing free across the front, and I didn't think that would be the case, to be honest. But yeah, do you know what I mean? Personnel wise, yes. I still think I would have liked to have seen Trippier play, but other than that, the team was fine. Really good to see Sven Botman and Malik Chow getting some much needed minutes together. I think they're starting to look like a real partnership, so that was a positive. But yeah, other than Trippier being missing, I think I was reasonably happy with the lineup.
What about you, Daz? What do you think?
For me, I was there. Yes, Eddie's gone with the formation you came up with on the big match preview, and I was expecting to see like 3/5 at the back, and with Tino at left back, Murphy playing a right back kind of position, but with Nick Woltemade and Gordon kind of up top, maybe Gordon slightly off of Woltemade. So it was that's what I was kind of looking forward to that then. But then when I started trying to make out what's happening here. Why is Dan? My first thing I wrote down, and you said it here straight away. Why is Dan Brown playing left back? And like that, it was what we were for. I think it was a year ago we ruled that out, and all last year he never really played left back, so that was a blessing because he's not a left back. Even though he didn't do too badly today in left back, but he's not a left back. And is it trying to get around the whole Botman Burn thing? Anyway, look, that's neither here nor there. Let's get into the game. But before I do, I want to give a quick shout out to football prizes because it's still in play. There's now there's just 5 days left for football prizes, and get into if you fancy getting your name in the hat for that one or the draw when it happens in 5 days' time. You can get a ticket for 35p if you use the link that we have there in the show description and in the chat, and use the code loaded10, and then that will get you in to the competition. And there's some brilliant prizes there on offer, so go check that out at your leisure. Let's talk a bit about the game. 4 minutes, Ezzy's shot, the bottom corner, great save by Nick Pope. 6 minutes, a Saka shot, difficult angle, saved by Popey again. Newcastle then with about 4 corners, the most notable being one where Malik Chow got a header and a bullet was saved. Yes, then the first big controversy on 30 minutes, Pope brings down Gyökeres in the box after Murphy his back pass came up short. Penalty, surely it's a penalty, isn't it? But a bit of a theatrical dive, as you can see there. That's a great picture that highlights that. But the most important thing is that Pope connected with the ball before he did connect with Gyökeres. So it went to VAR, a big long check. I was sure it was a penalty, lads, and I thought that there was a chance of Nick Pope getting sent off. I was there, what are we going to do now? I know, Chris, you might have slightly different thoughts when you saw it first, but that's when I saw it. But then when you see the replays back, you can see he gets a touch and no penalty, right decision. But what's your thoughts on that one, first of all?
Me?
Go on, Chris.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest, boys. Yeah, as soon as I saw it, my first reaction, I screamed at the telly, "You got to touch! You got to touch! You got to touch!" And then when I saw the referee pointing to the spot, I was just like, "No way!" And then when you start doubting yourself, and I'm thinking, "Did he get a touch?" I mean, I've got to be honest, boys. Like, there's a couple of things that really annoyed me about this. The first one was the fact that and we keep seeing it season on season, year on year. Some of the angles that they show the referee are just completely pointless, aren't they? Absolutely pointless. He goes over to the VAR screen, and you can obviously see what he's looking at, and they keep showing the repeat angle of the challenge, but not the right one. It's where it just looks like Nick Pope wipes Victor Gyökeres out, and it's like, yeah, show the other angle. where you can see he gets a touch on the ball. But anyway, got there in the end. For me, right decision made. The second thing that annoyed me, and it annoyed me throughout the game actually, was the commentary from Gary Neville when he's almost begging. He's begging for the penalty to be given. Absolutely begging for it to be given. And it's just so frustrating. And even at the end, it was funny. I watched the highlights back just to remind myself of the goals. And on commentary, I didn't pick it up at the time, but you know, when Arsenal equalised through Merino, he said, "No, title challengers go and win these matches. They go and win the match. Can they win the match?" And you know, when you think, "Oh God." So yeah, frustrating. But yeah, in terms of the penalty itself, I think it was the right decision. Nick Pope does get it, albeit you know it's not like the heaviest touch ever, but he does get a touch of the ball. So for me, I didn't think it was a penalty. And you know, thankfully, that decision did go on our side. I did have my doubts when the referee took so long looking at it, because he kept watching it. And I thought, is this going to be our luck where he looks at it and goes, "No, I'm going to keep your decision." But anyway, he overturned it. But yeah, for me, I didn't think it was a penalty.
Pete, your thoughts for the first time you saw it?
I thought it was a penalty straight off. I thought, it was stupid of Pope to come out the way he did. You could tell that Gyökeres was playing for it, but as a striker, any striker would. That's just natural. And I just felt that we got away with one, even with VAR. In any other game, you'd still see that situation where he gets a slight touch on it, but there's contact, and they still give the penalty. And I hear what you're saying, Chris, about Gary Neville. Like the narrative was set very early on in this game, and Gary Neville set the narrative. He wanted Arsenal to show their title credentials and go and win at Newcastle. That's what he wants. And look, we know the reality. He's a Man U fan. He doesn't want Liverpool winning or cakewalking another title. So therefore, he was desperate for Arsenal to show that they can claw the gap back. But I think I was relieved when the penalty wasn't given. I thought it was a lifeline for Newcastle United, because I have to be honest, in that early period we were not good. In fact, for 98 minutes we were not good today at all. But certainly in that early part we were not good. And you know what, boys? I'm going to talk about the early part of this game. Right from the first couple of minutes, I was worried. I was worried about this game. I was worried because when the players came out, the atmosphere, the fans go mad. Like the atmosphere was roaring. It was electric. It was great. And then the players didn't give the fans any reason to keep cheering, to keep that atmosphere electric. Normally we start off electric. We're all over the place. Intensity. We're on it. There was none of it.
Home as well.
Yeah, there was none of that. People go on about, the fans need to get behind the boys. Yeah, but the fans need a reason to get behind the boys. And I'm sorry, that first part of the game, the players looked like they were just going through the motions. Bruno Gyökeres was the clear example. 5 minutes in, I'm pulling my hair out. I've not got much hair. Look, as you can tell, I haven't got much hair.
Me neither.
I was pulling those little strands out from Bruno Gyökeres. He looked like he was in a training match. He was just prancing around the pitch, jogging around. Where's the captain setting the example? Intensity, getting in there, getting stuck in, getting the fans up early doors. Where was it? It gave Arsenal. I think Arsenal was surprised by it. I thought Arsenal was surprised. I thought Arsenal, after a couple of minutes, looked around and went, "Hold on, we can take the narrative here." Because we did not turn up. There was no bite. There was no hard tackling. There was no, right, you're in our gaff here. You're in our place. We're going to make it difficult for you. I tweeted out this morning. I said, we need to make it awkward for them. We need to let them know we're in the game. We did nothing of that. And they just got the ball and they pushed on us. And that set the narrative. So for 5 minutes in, I was worried. I was worried about this game because I thought we haven't started right. and some of the players were just not at it whatsoever. I was already annoyed at the Dan Burn at left back, thinking, what the hell's going on here? Not him as a player, by the way, for people that will watch this later and you complain. Not him as a player. The fact he was playing left back, I wasn't happy with it. And then seeing Bruno, the captain, just not doing enough on the pitch to set the standard, I was just like, what is going on here? But sorry, Chris. Well,
no, sorry, mate. I was just gonna add to, you're absolutely right in everything you said there. I was just going to add to this, and we don't normally bring questions up this early, but it's just a talking point based on what you were saying. You said that players didn't look right or players didn't look up for it. None more so than this man.
Shocking.
He was awful, absolutely awful for the majority of the game. I mean, obviously he came off, didn't he? But he just did not look at it today at all whatsoever, and that was clear and very evident to me early on. You know what kind of Anthony Gordon performance you're going to get, and within about 6, 7, 8 minutes, it was like, yeah, he's not up for this at all.
Just on that, right? One of the reasons I think that might be the case is because he had to track back more. He had to help. He had to assist Burn a lot on the left. That's what I thought. Why he was kind of more in the middle of the park rather than up in the final third.
I hear what you're saying, Daz. I hear what you're saying. I don't buy it. Oh, for how many years now? 2, 3 years. We've had fans banging on about, Gordon needs to start. He's got all this energy. He gets up and down the pitch. He can defend this, that, and the other. That's his job. That's what he's built his name on. He's not built his name on scoring amazing goals. He's not built his name on great assists. He's built his name on running. That's what he's built his name on. That's why fans love him, because he runs, because he gets up and down, he tracks back, he gets up on the pitch. I hear what you're saying, Daz, but for me, that is the absolute bare minimum I expect from Anthony Gordon, because that's what he's built his name on at Newcastle United. To coin a phrase put in the chat just a second ago, he looked tired. Well, the guy's been suspended for 3 games, and then he played in the Champions League, had nearly a full week's rest, then played at 60, 65 minutes against Bradford, where I'll be honest, didn't really do much anyway in that game. He weren't great in that game either. I can't take that he's tired. I can't take that these boys are jaded. And to be fair, Eddie Howe said it in his interview after the game. He said, "Oh, the players look jaded. We made God knows how many changes, and players got rests because we were comfortably beating Bradford. There is no excuse here for those players to turn up with that sort of lax attitude and not set the intensity levels right from the beginning. There is no excuse for that. I don't care what Eddie Howe says. I don't care what anybody else says. I'm sorry, in that position, there is no excuse there for Anthony Gordon or anybody else for not putting the effort in that game. And it looked like for long parts of that game that players just weren't giving enough.
Tired, try working 5 days a week, looking after your family and running a reasonably successful YouTube channel. Smash those likes, people. Smash those likes. Right. Let's carry on a bit. I know there's some super chats coming in, so maybe we'll take some at the halftime mark. But I put into our chat then at this stage, boys, that I think we need a tactical switch here. Maybe even keep the personnel we have, but just to switch it up with. Go to that, because as you were saying, Pete, you said it after 5 minutes, it just was not working, and we needed to do something different. But things started to go a bit in our favour later, but just more luck than anything else then, I suppose. But because in 24 minutes, Trossard hits the post from an Arsenal breakaway. California then starts. It was taking the mick by taking Nick Pope's towel. What's that about? To dry the ball before he's throw in. Get your own towel. 28 minutes. Ezzy had a shot with power, and again another Nick Pope wonder save. 31 minutes, another Popey save. Saka again on the tight angle as he gets away from Burn. The Saka, and that was again a danger there, Will Robinson. Then Mascara, whatever you want to call him, had a miss hit, and he cleared it, and then went for a corner to Newcastle. But and then to the goal from Big Nick Energy. Nick Woltemade puts the ball in the net. A short corner, Tonali to Gordon, back to Tonali to cross it to Big Nick. Boom. He hits it with his head and back of the net. Gabriel falls over, of course, because he wasn't going to get to it. He wasn't going to get up to the height of Nick Woltemade, trying to get a free kick. But the ref was having none of that. So I'll say this, and then we'll go to your thoughts on the goal, because just a few seconds after that, you see Big Nick not happy, talking to the ref, lecturing the ref on what actually happened, and you do. It shows back in replays that Gabriel then, after the goal, and it stood and a VAR and blah blah blah, he had to give an elbow to Big Nick. But boys, your thoughts. Pete, we'll go to you first. Your thoughts on Big Nick's goal.
The one chink of light in this game today, the one big positive. I'm so happy for the man. I don't know. I really like the guy. I just think his personality, like he's just make up the way he plays, and just the fact that he's our man. He's our main striker. Lovely goal, great goal. Some people the other day were questioning our set piece coach. Give him a raise. Give him a raise after 50. He's earned it today. Great little short corner. Sandro with the delivery. So an assist on there for Sandro. We need to see more of that. I have to say his delivery from set pieces were better today. I'll question them in previous games, but his deliveries were good from set pieces. We had a lot of them. But that header there, lovely finish. From a guy that says he needs to work on his game, heading the ball. He certainly put two fantastic headers in the net for Newcastle United, and well-deserved goal for him. I thought he played well today. Gabriel's just a joke. It's an embarrassment, the fact that he goes to ground like that, just like he did a couple of years ago on the other end of the pitch at the Gallagate at St James's Park when we won 1-0. But look, great goal. Surprisingly took the lead, I have to say, but I was taking it all day long because we needed something to get us going, and Nick Woltemade is the guy that definitely got us going, and he definitely showcased a little bit of Big Nick energy. So great stuff.
Did you have Big Nick energy, Chris, after that goal?
Yeah, I had loads of Big Nick energy after that goal. Well worked corner, which we don't say very often, do we? Well worked corner. I think Tonali played it short to Gordon. Gordon then played it back to Tonali. We obviously floated it in from a different angle. And Big Nick was there. And Gabriel just doing his usual, collapsing to the floor because he knew that he was positioned wrong and he wasn't going to win the header. So he thought he'd just decide to throw himself on the floor in the hope that he was going to win a free kick for that. Really, really good header from Nick Woltemade, and I love his celebrations as well. Do you find, boys? I know we've only had two of them, but do you find he almost looks like a little bit shocked that he scored? Like he doesn't quite know what he's going to do because he scored and he was a bit like, "Is this where we celebrate?" And then they all go into the
foul though, because I think
maybe
because of the contact with Gabriel. I think he was looking. And then once Bruno got his arm around him, I think he realised it was going to be given as a goal. Might have been that, because I thought the same, Chris. Sorry.
Yeah. Really, 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 really good goal. It's becoming a bit of a habit, this Nick Woltemade's headers, isn't it? But I'm here for it. I'm absolutely here for it. And I was pleased for him, like you said, Pete. Really pleased for him. It was great that he's continuing this goal scoring run at St James's Park, and really good finish. What about you, Darsley? Were you pleased with it?
Oh, delighted with it. From the on the 30th minute of thinking that we're Arsenal going to score from a penalty and Nick Pope was going to get sent off to being 1-0 up and heading towards half time. Massive contrast in emotions. But those were to change again later on in the day. But last bit of action in that first half is Malik Chow, who's excellent today, but he took the ball off Gyökeres, who was through on goal. But actually, Popey and Malik Chow had a both had a great game today. But that brought us to halftime. And you know what? I'll go straight into that second half because we kind of covered everything along the way. But let's go into that because on 45 minutes, it's right after kickoff. Big Nick hits the bar. It was offside anyway, but just maybe you're thinking, okay, if we had scored that though, we would have sealed the game. But heading on then to 56 minutes, J7 had a shot across the goal that went wide. Popey had a save from a Timber header. Arsenal taking tumbles, looking for a soft pen. Example, Trossard. Arsenal then decided to pile on the pressure. Newcastle kind of fired out, but then it comes back straight back at them again. They are kind of firefighting at this stage. 64 minutes, Bruno releases Murphy. Murphy was running through on goal. Rice stuck with him, and Murphy wins the corner. But it just kind of took the bit of relief first because we were kind of under the caution at that stage. But then, Eddie decided then to make some changes. And on 65 minutes, Trips, Alanga, and Asula come on, and Big Nick, Murphy, and Gordon come off. We switched to back five, and on we go trying to close out the game with that. But that was 65th minute. 76 minutes then. Tino went down. There was a challenge from Gabriel. The way he landed as well. We connected with him, and the way Gabriel connected with him. But ultimately, Tino was stretched off, which is not what we want to see. And Lascelles come on. Does not look good for Tino. A lot of worries on his knee. But boys, thoughts on that one? Let's stop there for a second.
Go on, Chris. Go for it.
Yeah, very, very concerning. Very, very concerning when they zoomed in on him when he was sat on the floor before the stretcher came out. You could see he had tears in his eyes. And then obviously when you saw Bruno and J7 talking to him, it was almost like consoling him. And yeah, obviously then when the stretcher came out and, it just didn't look good, did it? Didn't look good at all, which is a crying shame because Tino Livramento is a huge player for us. Absolutely huge player for us. So it's a big loss, and ultimately it means that we're missing one of our, you could say arguably our best fullback. So yeah, it's really disappointing. But hopefully it's not too bad of news. I haven't heard anything else other than obviously what Connor's just said there. But I haven't heard any other any other news on it. But yeah, Connor said fears at the club he's done his ACL against same knee as before, and hopefully that's not the case. But yeah, it was a nasty fall, wasn't it? He landed awkwardly, and it's frustrating as well because not that it makes it any better anyway. It was a bit of a pointless challenge. It wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't like a full-blooded tackle or a goal line clearance or something like that. It was just in the middle of the pitch, and he jumps up, and then the Arsenal player just leaves a bit of weight on him so that he lands awkwardly, and then obviously that happens. So yeah, it's very, very disappointing. But yeah, hopefully it's not as bad as what we all think, but it certainly doesn't look good.
Your thoughts on it, Pete?
Yeah, it's a big concern. I think I was worried about the leg that he kind of landed on, the one that he kind of used to stop his fall. But then he was holding. It looked like he was holding his other leg. So I was thinking, how is that like an issue? I was thinking maybe is it an impact injury where I think it was Saliba that was gone into him and kind of like he's obviously done it on purpose, and those type of challenges are even more dangerous than a normal tackle because someone's in the air and not in control of themselves. So therefore, the landing can be a lot worse and it could be even more disruptive. And it kind of seemed like it was that. So I'm kind of going away from thinking I hope it was an impact injury and it's just like a bad bruise or a bad knock where we couldn't walk or. Like a really bad dead leg or like something like that. I'm kind of hoping it's that, but and sometimes they might need stretching off because you can't walk because of the swelling that kind of comes up. I'm hoping that it's just the case that he's not available, Wednesday, Sunday that he has the international break, and we maybe see him after that. But we won't know now for a few days until everything sort of settles down. Hopefully, it's not anything serious, but you can't mess around with knee injuries and anything related to the knee, particularly because he's had a knee injury, an ACL previously. It's always going to be a concern for us. But fingers crossed that it's nothing serious. And hopefully we'll see him back on the pitch soon, because I thought he did okay today. I thought he was okay.
Yeah, no. Tino is a legend. He's class for us. One of my favorite players for us. I just hope, wish him well, and hopefully it's not as bad as we all fear at this point. And yeah, you're right, Pete. He came down. He landed on the other knee, but because he was kind of he kept the injured knee off the ground on the landing, so it seemed to be kind of more of an impact with the Arsenal player. So I don't know. Let's see how it plays out. We'll see. 83 minutes. Merino, the old boy, he scores with a header from a Rice cross. It went in off the post as well. Nothing that Popey could do with that. 1-1. But Anthony, you boys want to say about that one?
I don't know how he keeps doing it. He's so good in the air. He's not even like one of the tallest players, but he just has a knack of just being in the right place at the right time. It's just typical that he's the one that gets him back in the game. But it's a great goal. If you notice, like apart from the winning goal today for them, if you look at the goals that we've conceded this season, they've all been like literally like in off the post. There've been like positions where like a goalkeeper cannot get anywhere near to. You look at the Liverpool goals. You look at you look at that goal in particular. You look at the one, even the Bradford ones in off the bar. Like the goals that teams are scoring are like literally impossible to save, and that one is. You can't predict that, and you can't save those type of ones that are literally in off the post. I mean, Pope tries to claw it back out, but it's already well in the net by then, so it wouldn't have even mattered. But at that point, but it's a great header from him. But I have to say, up to that point, that 5 minutes or maybe 10 minutes before that, we were just hanging on. We were hanging on. It didn't look good. I don't want it to seem like I'm having a go, but the substitution of Lascelles on was a bad decision. It was a bad decision. He should not have come on the pitch. He was not good.
Who would you have brought on there, Pete? Then just Kraft?
Yeah, absolutely. Kraft can play as a fullback. You keep your back three, because what's happened is Lascelles has come on. He's then become the middle guy. It's thrown Botman out of sorts. Byrne is then having to play left wing back, who's again playing in a position that's not familiar to him at all. It just wasn't right. You put Byrne,
Trips
Botman,
over
and Shaw. You put Trips over the left, Kraft on the right. That's what I would have done, and I'm shocked that he's gone with Lascelles. Maybe he's gone because he's thinking they're going to throw everything at it, free kicks, corners, all the rest of it. But actually, as a set unit, we were dealing with them with those three big centre backs. We had Joe Linton. I'm not sure if Joe Linton was off by then. Maybe he was, or close to. But we had enough big men to deal with that situation. Pope was collecting everything at that point. It was a bad decision. It just disrupted everything, and it wasn't good. And you could see them creating more and more opportunities. It was very much back to the wall, but it was a good goal. It was a good goal.
Look, and it's one of those things as well. Now, it especially when you look at it now, it makes sense to have Kraft on and have switch Trips over to the left. But we could have held on and got a victory as well. But it's just the way it has worked out, and so yeah. Well, let's move on. Because between the 84th and the 86th minute, this happened. Langa had a shot and it came off Gabriel's arm. The game played on for a while. Then it went to a VAR check. Penalty claims, but no penalty given. For you boys, was this a penalty?
Go on, Chris.
So I was screaming for this. And I saw you boys put it in the chat as well. That's defo pen. And I'll be honest, boys, like, don't get me wrong, I don't really agree with the decision in general in terms of when you anyone who's played football, when you slide in and your body goes to ground, the first thing you do is your arms are in the air because you need to try and balance yourself. Now, Gabriel has gone to ground and his arms in the air. The big problem with this is Alanga's hit it and it's hit Gabriel's arm, and if Gabriel's arm's not there, the ball goes where it should do. So for me, like, I still think it should have been a penalty. Maybe I just sound bitter and twisted, I don't know. And then I think it was Gabby Neville who said, "Oh, it's because it's took a deflection on the way." And I watched it again and I just didn't see that, unless I've missed it. But it didn't look to me like it hit another part of his body, then hit his arm. It just looked like it went straight to his arm. But boys, tell me if that's wrong. But yeah, for me, I do think it's a penalty. It's, as I say, in the grand scheme of things, I think it's harsh. But we've seen penalties like that given numerous times. So that's why I if we're talking consistency and we're talking about decisions being given based on what's happened previously and to remain consistent, I think it should have been given as a penalty. But I was quite surprised how quickly VAR looked at it and then just like ushered it away and said, "Yeah, no, it's fine. We'll stick with the on-field decision." So I don't know, but what do you boys think? Is that me just clutching straws, or I just thought it was a penalty. I did, because it stopped the direction of the ball and the ball was going into the box.
I think if we're playing Fulham on a 3:00 kickoff on a Saturday afternoon, that gets given as a penalty. That's my honest opinion. I think they've said it took a deflection. I mean, come on. It's the minimal deflections. Whether it is or it isn't, even if it is, it's a minimal of deflections. Alanga gets a good hit on the board, and it's hit with power, and it's hit absolutely in the direction that it was meant to go. So for me, it's a cross, not a deflection. So if it's a cross and it hit his hand, that his hand being up there is not a natural position. Whether you're sliding on or not, you don't need to have your hand that high. And it's not like he's hit his arm here. Can't see it, but not like he's hit his arm there. Yeah. It's his arm higher up. So that is even more, there you go, even more of a penalty because it's hitting on the top part of his arm. For me, it's a penalty. It's very clear that VAR have tried to even the score after Newcastle penalty in the first half with Nick Pope and Gyökeres. It's just clear that they've just evened it up. That was my initial feeling on it. I was gutted that we didn't get a penalty, but I kind of knew why, in my opinion, why they've not given it. They've just tried to even the score. Simple as that. It's a penalty. If it's any other game against any other team lower down in the league, it gets given as a penalty. It's that simple. The annoying thing will be is that probably next weekend you'll see something exactly the same happen in the game, in any game, and it will get given as a penalty. That'll be the annoying thing because that's exactly what will happen.
For me, I thought it was a penalty, but I knew we weren't going to get it. Just the way it was panning out, it didn't look like we were going to be given that one. But move on, 93 minutes then, J7 off, Barnes on for the last throw of the dice for Newcastle. Chow throws himself to cut out Miles Skelly's shot. No joy there for Arsenal. That resulted in a corner. And Arsenal score from that. I think it was from that corner. Because Gabriel, surrounded by a host of Newcastle shirts, but he gets his head onto it, and we are robbed at the death. I think a draw would have been a clear result, but to get nothing from it after that is pretty disheartening and sickening and full time. And we're going to get your thoughts on that goal, but just that was full time then at that stage, boys. But your thoughts on Gabriel's goal?
Nick Pope. For me, I thought up until that point, Nick Pope had been absolutely superb.
Yeah,
I thought he'd had such a brilliant game. He was dead on for man of the match at that point. But that moment, Jesus, the moment before that, he's just come and collected the ball. Just go to ground, man. Just go to ground and just hold the ball like any other goalkeeper would. Why is he trying to? And he did it a few minutes before that as well, trying to play quickly, trying to get the ball out quickly on the counter. There was no counter attack there. There was no counter attack whatsoever. There was just no need. And he just invites the pressure back on again. We can see the corner, and you can see Tonali. Tonali walks up to him as if to say, well, what are you doing? Just calm down. Like, there was no need for it whatsoever. Tonali looked injured, by the way. I'm worried about him because he was hobbling around up until that moment. He got caught or something had happened on the far left side near the east stand, and he was hobbling around. So they've not mentioned anything about him, but he looked in discomfort because he wasn't covering his position, which then led to the ball being put into the box. I think Chow heads it for a corner. But if you give them enough opportunities, Arsenal, from set pieces, they are going to punish you at one point. Now, we've gone through many a game in the last year where we've dealt with Arsenal's corners and dealt with them really well, but they were always going to punish us at some point if you keep giving them an opportunity to whip the ball in. Now, what I will say is a couple of things. Harvey Barnes, the one that's marking Gabriel that scores the goal, is an absolute blunder from Eddie Howe. Because why Harvey Barnes on the pitch, I've got no idea. Joe Linton should have stayed on. For the same reason that he put Dan Burn out left wing back, because he wanted height on the pitch, you keep Joe Linton on the pitch. Because I tell you what, Joe Linton does a better job of marking Gabriel for that goal if he stays on the pitch. There was no reason for him to be subbed on. Barnes shouldn't have been on the pitch then, 100%, in my opinion. Secondly,
sorry, mate, just to say, I think Dan Burn was marking him, you know.
Well,
and he lost him.
At the point in which he comes in, Barnes is the closest to him.
Barnes is there.
Barnes He literally kind of falls into him. For me, if Joe Linton's that guy, even if he's not marking him, if Joe Linton's that guy, Joe Linton disrupts him. He doesn't let him get ahead on the ball. But even so, Chris, Burn is there. Burn is what, 6'8", whatever he is. How is he allowing Gabriel to jump above him and Burn hasn't even jumped for the ball? Your defender needs to be jumping for the ball to try and flick that on and to win it. And he doesn't, and he stands still, and Gabriel gets the jump on him and gets the flick to score the goal. Then you've got the issue of Pope being in absolute no man's land, just coming out unnecessarily to try and get that ball. If he stays in the middle of the goal where he should have been, that ball just falls into his hands, and it's not a goal. So there's an accumulation of issues there for that goal, and they've punished us. They've absolutely punished us. Look, I'm not going to get mad at the fact. I'm gutted at the fact that we lost in the manner that we did in that late goal. I'm not going to be mad at the fact that we lost because ultimately, in my opinion, I don't think we deserved it. I don't think we deserved it at all. We weren't good enough. But yeah, horrible way to concede on the 96th minute. And you might as well have blew the final whistle there because there was no chance we'll get back in that game.
Yeah. Chris is going to get your thoughts on the Gabriel's goal, but should have even been on the pitch.
Well, yeah. I mean, do you know what? I loved how Nick Woltemade stood up for himself there, and also I liked how Gabriel kept asking him to shake his hand, and he was like, "No." Didn't really understand that, to be honest. But yeah, I thought Gabriel got off with one with that, to be honest. I don't even think he got booked, did he?
No, and I suppose Arsenal will point back to the Bruno's one from 2 seasons ago. You know,
maybe. Yeah, that was against Jorginho, wasn't it? I think. But yeah,
he deserved it though.
Yeah. But yeah, the goal, just disappointing. Again, I watched it back after the match, and yeah, it's just disappointing. Yeah, I think Ben lets him go, but Pete's absolutely right. Harvey Barnes is right next to him in the box, but the box was just a mess at that point. You look around when you see the goal back, everyone's just everywhere, and then you just see one person rise above everybody, and you think, well, he's the man. He's the man who's probably airily the biggest threat for Arsenal And again, he's allowed to rise, and nobody else goes with him, and he just gets a free headed goal. And really, Nick Pope did not do himself any favours there, because he was well marshalled by Arsenal, wasn't he? Because the idea was to try and block him in, and if you're blocked in, you either get your players to move their players out the way, or you stay on your line. You stay on your line and you let all the mess happen in front of you. But instead, Nick Pope just got drawn into it, and then he just got blocked off. So there was no point having him in goal, because there was nothing he could do. So yeah, that was poor. But yeah, it's deeply disappointing. But as Pete rightly said, we didn't deserve. I don't think we deserved anything from the game in the end. I just think we approached it all wrong. I feel like we should have really had a go at them. The last few performances, what is it, three wins on the bounce at St James's Park against Arsenal, and we didn't look like winning today, because as soon as we scored, which was great, it was just backs to the wall, and I thought, no, we need to be asking more questions of them. And I was disappointed in the subs as well. I didn't see much of an impact. Again, Anthony Elanga didn't really do much for me. Kieran Trippier came on. I would have started Kieran Trippier from the start, to be honest. And Harvey Barnes, yet another ineffective cameo. I didn't see much from Harvey Barnes at all. So yeah, I've kind of left this game now with more questions than answers, really. And it is concerning, and we've got some fantastic questions in the chat, which we'll get to a bit later on. But yeah, people are asking questions, and it makes sense, because that was not the performance that I was expecting, given the atmosphere, given, Pete mentioned again at the start, in terms of rotation. We've been rotating our players. There shouldn't be any tired players. We're 6 games into the season, and players have been rested. Players have been given time, to recover. And even if they'd all played 90 minutes, all of them for the 8 games that we played, only played 8 games. It's not like we're in March and we're on our last legs or anything like that. So yeah, it's frustrating and it's disappointing. But I don't know. I kind of seen it. I saw the equalizer coming, and I did actually think we'd hold on for the draw. So to lose it at the death like we did was deeply disappointing. But at the same time, Arsenal kept coming and coming and coming, and we weren't asking enough questions of them. That was the problem.
Okay, let's go to some questions. So first, and then we'll circle back around to the table then after some questions. So what have we got?
Okay, mate. Okay, right. So, first of all, big thank you to Peter Griffin for his super chat. Peter Griffin, thank you very much, mate. Peter, I need to work on that. Peter Griffin says, Eddie said Hall had a bit of fatigue. Surely he had 15 minutes in him to shore things up at left back. Well, this was the problem, wasn't it? Because Lewis Hall wasn't even in the squad, was he? So I don't think that was an option, sadly. But yeah, maybe he just decided that, just to leave him out completely, just to kind of let him rest up, if you like. But yeah, I mean, boys, we're clearly seeing this season that Eddie is thinking about the long game. He's thinking about the whole season, and I think that's what our transfer window was summed up with, really, because we bought a lot of squad fillers or squad improvements. But is that did you agree with Eddie Howe's decision to leave Lewis Hall out the squad today, Daz?
I could see what he's doing, because he's given others a rest, and Hall is just going back, and he think he played 2 games. And then put them into a third. It seemed like a reasonable thing to do, or to keep him on the bench for this one and then rest him for the Champions League game. But look, it's easy. Again, no one knew that what was going to happen to Tino. That we're going to need to. He would have been ideal, obviously, to slot in there. So I don't blame Eddie for that. He's trying to manage the squad for the season, not just for one game, and maintaining eventually in 4 competitions. So let him off the hook on that one.
Pete, your thoughts the same? Do you agree with Lewis Hall being left out the squad entirely? Do you think, or do you think that perhaps that was a mistake in terms of essentially needing him, because obviously Tino had to leave the pitch?
No, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I think it's an excuse. Lewis Hall is more than capable of being a part of that squad today. He's kept him out. Eddie Howe has kept him out because his priority was trying to fit Dan Burn into that team today. That's why he's kept him out. And he in Eddie Howe's thoughts, and it's exactly what he did, he thought he'll start with Dan Burn, and then when Trippier comes on, he'll shift Tino over to the left-hand side, and that was his second left-back option. So he felt that he didn't need Lewis Hall. But it was absolutely clear today we needed Lewis Hall. Even for 20, 25 minutes, we could have done with Lewis Hall. And Lewis Hall's fit enough to play that. If a player, a Premier League elite level player that's playing for England can't do 25 minutes and then go and play in Belgium on Wednesday, what are we doing here? We're meant to be a team that can play in 4 competitions. I'm sorry, you've got players at other top clubs that are playing 90 minutes on a Saturday, 90 minutes on a Tuesday, then 90 minutes on a Saturday again, or Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday, and are playing without issue. Like, what are we doing here? Like, we can't be making excuses for players. Yes, I get that we were building up Lewis Hall to get back into the team, fine. But he could have done 20, 25 minutes today. And we could have done with him, with his attacking intent, with his quality on the board, with balance that it would have added to the game. We could have absolutely done with Lewis Hall today. To not have him in the squad, I think, is absolutely wrong. But it's an accumulation of things that I think Eddie Howe's got wrong today. I'm Eddie Howe's biggest fan. I'll back him all day long, but I'm sorry, he got it wrong today on multiple levels. He got this whole team selection wrong in terms of the way in which we set up. He's made bad substitutions, and he made a bad decision on keeping Lewis Hall out of this squad. It's that simple. Okay, it's only one game, fine, but it's a big game to make a lot of bad decisions on. Lewis Hall will probably start on Wednesday. So that says that he's fit enough to play a part today. And if he can't, then we've got even bigger problems than we thought we have. Because if he can't do like 25 minutes one game and 90 minutes on another, then we've got real issues. Because if we're a team with aspirations of playing regular European football, you need players that are fit enough to play multiple games in a week. It's that simple. So for me, I think it's a bad decision. I think Lewis Hall has to play. This Dan Burn experiment at left back, I thought was gone a year ago. It has to stop now. I don't want to see Dan Burn playing left back again. I said it to you boys the other week, and I'll reiterate it again. Eddie Howe now needs to make a decision, because Sven Botman was absolutely sensational again today, as was Malik Chow. For me, they are my centre-back starting pair. There is no question about it, which means Dan Burn has to ride the bench. It's that simple. Unless you're playing 3 at the back, he rides the bench. I've been saying it for months now. Sven Botman, when he shows his fitness, he starts for Newcastle United. I had people questioning it. I had people saying, Dan Burn this, Dan Burn that. I get it. It's been great for a year. But that year, Sven Botman hasn't been fit. He's had an ACL, which is a very serious injury. Now he's showing his quality. He starts. Dan Burn rides the bench. But Eddie Howe needs to be strong enough to make that decision, because we can't keep shoehorning players into a team and it not working. We're going, oh, yeah, didn't quite work today, and then going back to it later on down the line. It has to stop now. It's as simple as that.
And this kind of leads into what Connor's just said. He asked that question, and you know what, I'm going to rephrase the question a little bit, Connor, only for what Pete's just said. But Connor says, do you guys think Eddie Howe played Bain at left back, as it's the only way to get him in the team, with Botman and Chow clearly better? Now, what I want to ask Daz, to slightly change Connor's question, given what Pete's just said, do you think that by leaving Lewis Hall out of the squad, it then stops any questions? Well, I mean, we've got questions, but, you know, any questions certainly from people, you know, within the stadium as to why Lewis Hall isn't playing left back and Dan Burn is. Because if Lewis Hall's not in the squad, he can't play, can he? So, you know, do you think that Eddie Howe has purposely left Lewis Hall out of the squad so that it's like, well, I've got no one else to play left back, I'll just have to play Dan Burn there? Is that how you saw it?
But he does, because he could have played Tino there and
Yeah.
Trips
Yeah,
at right back,
Yeah.
or a very worst situation, play Kraft at right back and Trips at left back, because Trips obviously has played for England in as a back, so he's good enough for England there. He's good enough for Newcastle there, but yeah, I do I don't I get what he did, but I don't, and I can see this what you're describing here now, Pete, as well. That yeah, it was a bad decision to play Byrne at left back, and no one wanted to see that. No one ever wants to see that again. Not saying that he didn't play bad in that position today, but it's 2 years ago that wasn't working. So why would it work now? Dan Byrne is excellent at centre back, and if we're going, I don't understand why he didn't play like with 3 centre backs today rather than a back 4. That was the bizarre, and that's where I wanted us to change to that and push Gordon further forward in that 20 minutes mark. I thought that's the time we needed to change, but Lewis Hall is going to get plenty of game time now, and you're right though. If it's bullshit, if Dan Byrne is going to be playing left back first again, this is not an excuse to that with Tino out for a period of time. That's where Dan Byrne slots in now. That's not the way to go.
No. Right, we're going to go there, boys, because there's a hell of a lot of comments and questions around this particular topic. Now, brace yourselves, okay? So, Derek Sharp says, I see how not being the manager in 12 months. Team season. Come on, guys. Defend your manager. 1 win since Chelsea in the league. We only lost Isak, and Eddie Howe reverts to a 5-3-2. Defend your top manager now. He's out of his depth. Sack him. 250 million spent. Joke. Frieden says, if we can't beat Ange in an Ange Forest in the next game, it's how out for him. What else have we got? David Knight, are we allowed to criticise Eddie yet? And then Lad says, what was Howe doing with those subs today? You don't switch 3 players at once when you're 1 up. He needs to shape up. Shocking start to the season. And Sniffer says, Howe out, your time is up. All you gaslighters can F off with him. What are your thoughts on Eddie Howe, boys? And I don't want this to turn into a witch hunt or anything like that, but you know, were you concerned by what you saw today in terms of how we set up, in terms of the subs, in terms of the performance from the players? What are your overall feelings on all those comments as well that we've had?
Do you want to go first, Peter, or I go first?
Go for it, mate. Go for it.
You've taken 6 comments there, Pete. Sorry, Chris. And I imagine you could get about 60 that will defend Eddie Howe. Maybe not on today's performance, all right, and maybe not to the start of the season. But there has been circumstances that have contributed towards our start of the season. Everyone knows what those are. How can you not back Eddie Howe from what he's done for us over the last 3 seasons, getting us into the Champions League in 2 out of 3 seasons he's been with us? Yes, there's been money spent. Yes, it's a different era and situation and owners to where we were before, but you don't throw Eddie Howe under the bus for 1 bad performance or not a great start to the season. Look, if we had won today, if we'd held on for the last 20 minutes in that game, we would be sitting in 8th position. 8th position, ahead of Chelsea. And ahead of Man United, ahead of Aston Villa, ahead of Nottingham Forest. And we would be 2 points off 4th. So it's still very early days, and we still we're missing the man from Congo. Hasn't even played a game for us. So There's a lot more football to come. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, so you're not wrong in what you're saying, but give Eddie a chance as well. We're just after winning the League Cup, our first trophy in 70 years. There's a long season to come, and like you're dead right to make a call like that at the end of the season, but he at the very least gets the season. So back up.
P, I'm going to change it slightly for you. Well, I say slightly, it's still the same topic, but I'm just going to add in a couple more here. So Tennessee says 2 wins in 15 games. We're counting up those games. 2 wins in 15 games. Are we witnessing the beginning of Eddie's decline? What I also wanted to ask you as well, Pete, to throw in, and I've heard this now a few times, and I just wonder when this stops. Now, I get the point, but what I'm trying to say is I saw a little bit of the post-match, a little bit. And again, Alexander Isak's name's brought up. And again, it's like we're playing differently and we've got a different striker and with this and with that and with that. And like, I get it. And Alexander Isak was a fantastic striker, arguably the best in Europe, which we all spoke about and we all agreed with. But there comes a point, doesn't there, where you've got to draw the line, you've got to move on, because we can't keep talking about what we used to have and how we used to play last season. You know, we're 6 games into a new Premier League season. We've already kicked off the Champions League. We've already kicked off the Carabao Cup. How long do we keep talking about Alexander Isak? And, you know, should that even be a conversation anymore? So that's just what I wanted to add to the question about Eddie as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, the issue around sort of the Isak conversation being brought up, but yeah, Eddie's engaging in it. He's talking about it. So there's that conversation as well, and the fact that he's mentioned it he's mentioned his name and talked about him openly a few times in press conferences recently, and now he's mentioning it now. And look, there's a reason why it's being brought up, is because noticeably we are significantly less of an attacking force this season, and that will continue to be the question until we become more of an attacking force. Now, defensively, we have proven this season that we can be very, very difficult to get at, and teams are going to have to play very well and score very good goals in order to beat us or to get anything from us. We've already proven that this season, but it's no doubt in my mind that we are not attacking with any sort of potency like we have been in previous seasons. I just find it difficult that one man can be the sole reason for that. And if it is, then we haven't done something right. That could well be the case, by the way. I mean, the goals would suggest that is the case. But that for me is that's where the problem is. If you've held your hat on one man scoring all of your goals, that's not good. It's not good. And maybe that's why we are the way we are, is because we're having to try and build and develop and create a new way of being attacking. But this season has not been good for attacking football. It hasn't been good. We do not look nowhere near like scoring the amount of goals that we did in previous years. And that's a big concern. This is why we said other players have got to step up. Like already we're hanging our hopes on Nick Woltemade to score our goals. That should not be the case. And look, yeah, okay, Bradford aside, but Bradford you'd expect to put goals past them. But we need the likes of Joe Linton. We need the likes of Sandro, Bruno. We need the 4 wingers that we've got to be creating and giving an opportunity. You talked about Gordon, lads, earlier. Gordon was not good, but Gordon is one of our senior players, when people talk about one of our main players in the team, Anthony Gordon gets mentioned. We can't afford for him to put performances in like that. We need him to be playing well. We need him to be scoring goals or creating goals for us. We need more if we want to be where we are in this season. In terms of Eddie Howe, look, I've already said it. He got a lot wrong today. But he's got a lot left in the bank because of what he's achieved for Newcastle United. We've got to remember, we had nothing last year. We came through a nightmare summer the season previous, and he put a trophy in the cabinet and he gave us Champions League football. So he should be given the right to be able to try and rebuild this team and make us an attacking force and a team that can win matches for Newcastle United. I'm not giving into this, if he doesn't beat Ange, it's a Howe out. That's, for me, that's nonsense. Of course, I'd be absolutely gutted, and there will be questions asked again if we don't beat Forest or Forest beat us. But that's not for a manager to get sacked at this point. It would be a concern, but it's not a deal breaker. And look, the owners ain't going to think like that anyway. So regardless of what people say, Eddie Howe's not going to be sacked after the Forest game if we don't win. For me, I think we're in a great position to go and win against Forest, to go and put 3 points on the table against Forest. That's where I'm seeing it right now. So yeah, like, look, we can all have our opinion on the manager, on Eddie Howe, and look, he hasn't done enough today. He's made bad decisions. He's made bad calls on lineups, team selection, substitutions, all the rest of it. It hasn't gone well. I think if he was doing an interview and he was asked that direct question, I think he would be honest and admit it hasn't gone well. He knows, and he said it in his interview with Sky after the game, he knows the players weren't well. He said it. He said the players weren't at it today. So it's up to him to put that right. And the great beauty about being in 4 competitions is games come thick and fast. So it's an opportunity now on Wednesday to go and put that right away in Belgium. We need to go and win that game in the Champions League to really set us up nicely for that game on Sunday. We have to. We've got 2 games now before the international break. Let's get 6 points from those games. 3 in the Champions League, 3 in the Premier League. And I think if we go and do that, things will look a little bit brighter. But things have to change. We have to be more attacking intent-wise. We have to make sure we're picking players to add balance to this team, to make sure this team is right going into every single game. We have to do that. And Eddie Howe is the man that needs to make those decisions.
Chris, going to go back to you, get your opinion here as well. But we let another bit in, as we like to do. But do you think that the negativity towards Eddie Howe and some comments saying Howe out is in some way linked to the positive start that Sunderland have had, a surprising positive start they've had, and maybe that could be a factor in people maybe thinking like that.
Quite possibly, mate. Yeah. I think it's a fair point, because obviously Sunderland's had a very, very busy transfer window, didn't they? I think somebody said in the chat they brought in 20 players. I don't know if it was 20, but it was a lot of players that they brought in. Some very, very good, some unknown, some possibly not so good. I don't know, but yeah, and saying that, I wouldn't say Sunderland have made a fantastic start, but they've certainly got some decent points on the board. They have, and obviously it was a really good result for them at the weekend. I did not fancy them to win that game away to Nottingham Forest. That was a really good 3 points for them. But yeah, I think that's a fair point, Daz. I'm sure there'll be a lot of particularly for Newcastle fans who are based in the northeast. It must be quite difficult at the moment, because I'm sure there's a lot of Sunderland fans who likely reminding them of the league table and minding the gap and all shots like that. But yeah, it's still so early though, isn't it? It's 6 games in, and in terms of my thoughts on Eddie, yeah, I think he just needs time. My only frustration at the moment with Eddie, or my main frustration at the moment with Eddie, is, as I kind of hinted at when I mentioned to Pete, all this talk of Alexander Isak. I think that needs to stop. For me, I think it needs to be shut down now. Just a case of, Alexander Isak doesn't play for Newcastle United anymore, and we have to learn to move on from that and just end it there, because I think there's only so long. I think it will be to the detriment of Eddie if he continues to say, "Oh, we're really missing Alex. We're really missing Alex's goals. We're playing a completely different way." And I get all that, but as Pete rightly said, there's still 9 other outfield players on that pitch who can influence. Nick Woltemade, whether it be Johan Visser, whatever, Willisula. We've not had a complete overhaul. I'd understand if we'd lost like 5 key players and then we were bringing in 5 new players and the whole team looked completely different. I get that. But the team looks very, very settled and very, very much as it was last season, bar Alexander Isak. And I'm not downplaying him or how big he was for us as a team. There's no doubt about that. But the biggest concern for me is the fact that we're not looking potent, and not just looking potent up top. It's throughout the team. We're not. How many times this season have you seen Sandro Tonali have a shot and it fizz over the bar, or Bruno Guimaraes having a save made by the goalkeeper, Joe Linton popping up, with shots here and there, Gordon, Barnes, Alanga, Murphy. There's not been that many. There's not been that many shots that have been saved. We've yet to have a game where, attacking wise, we've looked really, really dangerous. I just don't think we have. So that is a big concern, and hopefully it clicks into place sooner rather than later. But yeah, I just hope that we stop with the Alexander Isak talk now, because it's done. It's dead and buried. It's done, and we need to move on from it. We need to find a way of getting points on the board and improving our attacking stats and stuff, because at the moment we don't look like a team full of goals. And I think there's potential for us to score lots of goals from all over the pitch, not just up front. But we need more. Absolutely need more. And I think the first part of that is to make sure that you set the team up in the correct way. And I don't think we've necessarily done that. Certainly not today, anyway. Right.
Yeah, I was going to say, the only way that you can stop the Alexander Isak conversation is if you start putting the ball in the back of the net on a regular basis. That's the only way you're going to stop. The media are going to keep talking about Alexander Isak. They're going to keep talking about him if you're not playing attacking football, if you're not creating chances. I think we're one of the lowest, if not the now lowest, in terms of goal scorers, in terms of XG in matches. For a team that's playing in the Champions League, that is not a good stat at all. It really, really isn't. And I'm going to say something that people might not like, but you look around, you look at Anthony Elanga, you look at Jacob Murphy, you look at Anthony Gordon. You could maybe throw Harvey Barnes in there, but he has got history of it. You've got four wingers there, effectively, that are not goal scorers. I'd probably take Barnes out of that because he is a natural goal scorer. He's just not playing well at the moment. But you've got three wingers there that you'd expect to add goals to this team that are not natural goal scorers and don't look like goal scorers and don't look like scoring goals, that barely take a shot on goal. I mean, Gordon had one way he cut inside today, it was just a tame shot into the goalkeeper's hand. Like, you can't deal with that. You can't just expect your striker to bail you out all the time. Joe Linton showed he could score goals against Bradford, but we need to see him arriving in the box in the same way in the Premier League. Bruno Guimaraes looks nowhere near like scoring a goal, and we've already talked about his shooting ability. Sandro Tonali can shoot, but we never get him into a position where he can pull the trigger. That's your big issue. Then it's a case of, can your boys score more from set pieces? Can you get Botman, Byrne, Chow? Chow looked decent in the air from a couple of corners earlier on today. Can you get him into a position to score a goal? Can we work set pieces for those guys to score? These are the questions Eddie Howe should be asking of his staff and of his players, because at the moment we look like we've got no goals in our team, and that's a massive concern with a team that has aspirations to get Champions League football again. So the Alexander Isak conversation won't go until all of that changes, and I don't see all of that changing like that. I think it's going to be time. So I fully expect this Alexander Isak conversation to continue on.
Yeah, not great, boys, not great. Munch, thank you very much for being a member, Loaded Ultra for 35 months. Thank you very much. And Munch says, Gabriel should have been sent off for the arm on Big Nick. And yeah, you touched on that earlier, Munch, and absolutely, yeah. When you see it in slow mo, it looks even worse. So yeah, no, absolutely. Let me see, boys. Frieden says Woltemade and Chow were class today. The rest were not great. I would have to add Sven Botman to that, and also Nick Pope, bar towards the end of the game, because he did make some really key saves. I thought, particularly the first one. The one when he got down really, really well and tipped it round the post. I think it was off Eze. That was a great save. It really, really was. But who are your standouts today, Daz?
I thought Malik Chow did well, and then Popey did well. Botman was class as well. Yeah, they'd be my three. I'd go with Nick Woltemade got his goal. You can see him laying off as well, but that I'm going to stick with probably Popey. Popey was my man of the match because he was. He made some, like they could have scored 4 or 5 at one stage. Some of those great saves from Popey.
What about you, Pete?
Yeah, the two centre backs, Chow and Botman, I thought both were brilliant. I thought Gyökeres, although he didn't have many chances to score, I thought he posed a real threat against Newcastle. And I thought Sven Botman rose to the occasion perfectly. He really roughed him up. He made it difficult for him, pulling shirts, getting physically over the ball to win headers. I thought he was excellent. Literally followed him everywhere. Didn't give him a sniff. I thought Botman was top. Malik Chow made some fantastic big blocks. He made some big headers at big moments in the game. He's really impressed me. He's better than I thought seeing him in a black and white shirt. And I'm really, really pleased with what I'm seeing. Nick Woltemade, obviously he scored his goal, but I liked the aggression in his game. He wanted to go to war against Gabriel and Mosquera before Saliba came on. I liked it. I like what I saw. He's not winning. He's not afraid to get stuck in. They're probably my standout three. I thought Joelinton had a little bit of a better game, but we need more from him in attacking areas. Other than that, I thought a lot of other players were quite quiet today. So they're my three. Woltemade, but in particular the two centre backs, Chow and Botman. I thought they were excellent.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Just a quick update from Luke Edwards. He goes, it doesn't sound like Tino Livramento has suffered another ACL injury, which is good. But we will know more later this week, but it's likely he'll be out for a while, whatever it is. Huge loss.
Yeah. Well, good news. It's not another ACL anyway. That is good news. I really like the second question. I'm going to pair these two together. I really like the second question because it's very, very simple, but it does get to the point. So LB 1998 says, I think you guys are in for a horrible season playing like that. And then Terpi Marciano asks very, very simply, are we shite? I get told regularly that Newcastle are shite by my blue and red mates, and they've all been having a ball in the chat tonight. I've yet to open it, but yeah, like, where are you in terms of where we are at the moment? Foxy said before, this time last season, I think we had 11 points after 6 games. Now we've got 6 points after 6 games. I think there is caveats to it, boys, but you know, where are we now? And you know, what are your thoughts so far? Pete, I'll go to you first, mate.
Well, no, we're not shy. We can mix it with the best teams in the league, like we've proven against Liverpool and against Arsenal. We have to remember these are 2 teams that we've lost against this season that are the only 2 teams that we've lost against, and the 2 teams that you're expecting to fight for the Premier League title. We have to put that into perspective. We love to beat these teams. We want to beat these teams. We beat Arsenal last season, but the reality is that these are top teams that we're coming up against. So they will always fall. These games will always fall on a knife edge. We won it 1-0 last season at St James's Park. They've won it 2-1 this season with a late goal. It is what it is. Like it is. We're talking about little things that we've done wrong, but the reality is that this is how it is. Newcastle United are not shite at all. What this does put a light over is whether this is a good start to the season or not. Now, for me, we've looked defensively solid. We haven't conceded too many goals. We had the best defensive record up until today, but we've only got 1 win on the board. And for as bad as people are calling out Aston Villa, how bad their season is, they're now sitting on exactly the same points as us. So that then makes us ask the question, has this been as good a start as some people have said because of how strong we've been defensively? Well, the answer is it's not been a great start. We've had tough games, but we need to start winning matches now. and we need to start winning matches quickly in the Premier League, and it has to start next Sunday against Nottingham Forest. And Nottingham Forest are literally on the ropes right now. We need to take advantage of that, and we need to take 3 points to see us off into the international break. So the gauntlet has been thrown out to Newcastle United. Points need to be on the board. Goals need to be scored. Tactics need to be done properly and with players' best positions in mind. Lots of questions to be asked of Eddie Howe and his team. And we've got 2 games to do it before another international break. So let's wait and see.
Daz, what about yourself? Are we shy?
Yeah. No, like what Pete said in most part. No, we're not shy, but we have played Liverpool and Arsenal now, but we played them at home. Like we're never going into the season. We're never finishing ahead of Liverpool or Arsenal. But where we were shite is against Villa when they were down to 10 men and we didn't score. Where against Leeds away again that we didn't score, and against Bournemouth, although we didn't lose, I still maintain we could have tried more to get a goal in that match. But goals are our problem. It's not our defense is solid. It's goals, and Popey is playing really well, keeping Ramsdale out, which I didn't think would happen. It's goals, and it all links back to the detrimental injury that Johan Wissa got against there. I mentioned for Congo playing international football. So and that threw a massive spanner in the works for us. So yeah, we need to start scoring goals. And we've got games against in the Premier League. We've got Nottingham Forest. We're at home. We need to score. We need to score. Brighton away, which is dodgy at times as well, but Brighton themselves can be dodgy. Fulham, who they bet us twice last year, I think Fulham, and West Ham, who now have a new manager, Nuno is in. So yeah, we need to get back on scoring goals, and then obviously that will bring points and back to winning ways, and it'll keep the how out brigade, some of the people in the chat, quieter as well. But let's see what happens next.
I've got to send an apology to Andrew DB. He said that my T-shirt is causing him photosensitive epilepsy.
That's Andy. He's pulling your leg there, Chris.
I know. Yeah, so I do apologise, Andrew. And if I'm on the big screen again, I do apologise because it's quite jazzy, isn't it? It is quite jazzy. So apologies. Maybe I should. Oh no. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. It's a bit much, isn't it? Much. So, right, okay, we've got a few more, boys. And Daz, you very briefly touched on it, so I'll come to you first. Christopher D says, sorry, but Pope has cost us a point today. Awful kicking. Some of the kicking was absolutely atrocious, by the way. Yeah, giving possession straight back to Arsenal, which led to the winner. Some great saves in the first half, which is right. But all for nothing in the end. What were your thoughts on Pope's overall performance today, mate?
Yeah, I agree with the comment on the some of the kicking out and going to touch. But his saves were class for me, and that's what's keeping him in the team. I did fear when I thought he was getting sent off after 13 minutes, and I thought, that's it now. Ramsdale will be in for the next game for sure. Well, obviously he would be banned in as well, but yeah. Look, it's again something he needs to improve on, or Ramsdale will come in because Ramsdale can put in some decent performance and saves as well. So yeah, I get what Christopher is saying, and the distribution wasn't great at times. Yeah.
Yeah, Pete, you mentioned at the start that when we were doing the run through the match, you were saying that there was no need for Nick Pope to try and set us off on the counter when there was no counter. Other than that, and I must say as well, Nick Pope did an incredibly long throw, didn't he, towards the end of the game, which was good. It was actually really accurate. It was a decent throw. But what were your overall thoughts on Pope for the game, mate?
Well, look, in the build up to the winning goal, I thought it was poor. Like his kicking and rushing the play, I thought was poor. But other than that, I thought it was okay. I didn't think his kicking were bad. Yeah, a lot of the time it was put on his left foot, so he's not going to generate as much power and accuracy as he would on his right. But I thought he was very safe in his play. He would just get it out of play into and away from dangerous areas, which is exactly what we want him to do. I thought his distribution with his hands was good. I thought he commanded his area well. You know, he was up until that moment, right on the 96th minute. He was probably the game's man of the match and Newcastle's man of the match. It was that simple. Like he was good, very good. I don't think he really put a foot wrong, other than the thing with the penalty, which wasn't a penalty, so you can't really add that in as a thing. And then the 96th minute, he's kicking and his decision to come out for the corner. Two things over the course of 90 minutes. It's cost us a point, but other than that, I thought he did okay. So I don't want it to be let's hammer Hope. Let's hammer Nick Pope on the back of all this. I don't want it to be that on social media. I don't think he deserves that. I think he has made some big saves, big saves. He's made some big contributions today, which shows that he is improving as a goalkeeper in comparison to last season and the season before. He looked, for me, in that first half in particular, he looked like the old Nick Pope. He was back, the save he was making. I don't want him to lose confidence off the back of that, because honestly, I do fear that we're going to need him to be at his best this season. If we're going to win matches, I fear that we're going to need him to pluck out saves and do what he did when we got Champions League football the first time. So, I think we need to get behind him. His kicking's poor, he knows that, we know that, but I think he simplified his game to try and caveat the fact that he isn't a great kicker of the ball. Apart from the 96th minute, I thought he had a very, very, very good game.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair, mate. I think it's fair. He made some brilliant saves, particularly, as I say, that first one. He got down really, really well for that. It was a really top save. It was a top save. Right, two more boys. Andrew DB says, let's be honest, shite window. And I know a few people have had this opinion. Shite window. Elanga massively overpriced, glorified sprinter. Then there's Ramsey, Visser, Big Nick, who's not a striker, and other than the goal, offered nothing again. Pete, I'll come to you first on this. Any concerns at this point, Pete, over the window? I mean, I know it's a difficult question to ask, really, because obviously I know we're only 6 games in and we've yet to see Johan Visser. Jacob Ramsey's out injured. But there was some positives there for me, particularly Malik Chow. But what are your overall thoughts on the window, and have we done enough based on what you've seen or what you expect to come?
Well, yeah, for what we intended the window to be, we've covered all of the main areas we needed to. We've beefed up the squad. If we go through each player, so the first player in was Elanga. Elanga's still got question marks to his game. I think he does need a run of games. I would like to see Elanga start on Wednesday and start against Forest. I expect him to start both, and that'll be his opportunity to show what he's all about. I think he's not there yet, but there was moments in the game today where he used his pace, and his ability to cross the ball is underrated as well. I think he's a good crosser of the ball. I think we need to give him a moment with Nick Woltemade to work together, like Murphy's had with Nick Woltemade. I think Elanga needs that opportunity to be able to show that he can provide the bullets for Woltemade to put the ball in the net. But that's still a big question mark. Look, Ramsdale was always going to be a big question mark. Was he going to be a starter? Was he going to be a backup? I think for me, he's a solid alternative that's better than Martin Dubravka. So I think we've improved in that area. Malik Chow's, without question, a very, very good signing. No concerns for me with regards to that. Looking at Jacob Ramsey, he's probably in the. If you look at the signings, he's probably like Ramsey and Elanga are probably in the same ballpark. Is that we haven't seen enough of them yet to actually make a decision whether they've been a good signing or not. I think both Elanga and Ramsey will be very good signings for Newcastle United, but we just haven't seen it yet. They haven't hit the ground running. Obviously, Ramsey's injured, We need him back fit as soon as possible as an alternative. I think Woltemade is proven that he's doing the business. I think Jan Visa, when he's back, will prove that he's the business. And I think once Visa comes back and he starts putting the ball in the net, which I fully expect him to do, I think people will start having a different perspective on this window for those that don't think it's a good window. I think it is. Do we need to do more business in January? Probably. I think there's more players that probably need to go in. One or two players that maybe need to leave the club in order to supplement those players walking through the door. This is the transition. We're transitioning players in and out. We need to be more active in the market, both selling and buying. I fully expect us to be in the window again, but for what we did this summer, considering what we lost, I think has been good. But we're not seeing the full remit of that right now because of injuries and various other things. So it's hard to say it, but we just maybe have to be a little bit patient, particularly with Alanga, Ramsey, a little bit more patient, get them more minutes, and they'll show their best football.
Yeah. Daz, I'm going to ask you the same question, but again, I'm going to add something to it. So we know that, let's fast forward now to November, and Johan Visser's fully fit, he's ready to rock and roll. How do you see Eddie Howe utilising both Johan Visser and Nick Woltemade? Do you expect one of them to be on the bench? Do you think he's going to be trying to play both of them, maybe with two up top? Who knows? How do you see that panning out, as well as the below question?
I see him mixing and matching there. I could see even Isak kind of going on the left at times as well. Maybe or trying to get both of them in the team. It depends who's available, like for the given games, and because he's still going to be managing the workload on all players going with us in multiple competitions. And yeah, why not go with the formation that we had talked about? Pete had talked about the 5-3-2 and have Nick Woltemade and Wisa as well, depending on who the opposition is, of course. But yeah, look, that's for later down the road in November, as you were saying. But I want when Wisa does come back to in a way run him into the ground, because I want to see him score the 15 goals. I give this transfer window about, I think it was either 6 or 6.5 out of 10, and it does look a bit worse now because the injury to Ramsey, obviously the injury to Wisa, and Alanga. While he's hit the ground running, it hasn't been in a positive light because we all know he can run. But I think we can get so much more out of Alanga and utilize him more, and I think we will see that. But yeah, we did tick a lot of boxes in the summer. Well, I wouldn't call it a shite window. It's just that we're not seeing the best of what we've brought in yet, and coupled with the best of what we have in the squad already, especially in the attacking sense of the pitch. Apart from Malik Chow looks class. So I'm delighted that he's really shining out at the moment. And Nick Woltemade, he's got his 2 goals so far. He's link up play, and we'll get more out of him long into the future. It's just I want to see something from Wisa now. I really hope he hits the ground running when he does come back and starts banging in goals. And I think there's more to come from Alanga. I wouldn't be writing him off at all. So more to come.
More to come. Yeah.
Can I just add this one in, Chris? Just really.
I just had my calculator out, Peter. Funnily enough, because I saw you'd start that. Just a quick question: was Jacob Ramsey 39 million or 40 million?
Does it really matter?
Was it?
That
was going to be my question to you, Pete. I was going to ask you this. So John Story, for anyone listening on Spotify, John Story asked the question: Alanga, Visser, Ramsey, all poor signings for the money. It's not a transition; it's a regression. Now, I wanted to ask you, Pete, based on those 3, I get it to roughly 147 million. Does that represent value for money for you, or do you feel like that is a huge sum of money?
Yeah, it's a huge sum of money. But the value represents the market that we had to work in this summer. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
Like if people are still looking at what we signed in the 22 summer, when we signed the likes of Botman and we signed the likes of Pope and all the rest of it, and we got some good players. You throw Bruno Gyökeres in there in January at 30+ million. Like, you're not getting that sort of value now. The prices and the value in the market has gone up. That's the reality. Like, you boys will know, I said on the front of the transfer show at the beginning, I did not see Anthony Elanga at 50 to 60 million. I didn't see that. That's not his value. But we had to pay that in order to get the deal done. And other clubs had to pay similar prices for players. Like, you look at Gittins, for example, that's gone to Chelsea. He ain't worth 55 million. Never in a million years. He's a £30 million player max. But they had to overpay to get him through the door. You could put countless players on that market. It is what it is. But for me, John, I'm sorry, you cannot say that Ramsey's a poor signing when he's only played one game for Newcastle United, right? You need and let's be honest. Yes, he's got that injury record, but that was a horrible challenge against Leeds, and it was a bad challenge. That's not down to him. If he'd have broken down in training with a calf injury or whatever, right? I'd have probably been with you. Like, oh, another injury again, needless injury, one that could have been avoided. But that was a bad challenge. You got to give him a little bit of leeway there. Let him get back on the pitch. Let him give us a run of games to prove. If we're sitting here in May and he's barely kicked a ball, then yeah, I'm with you, John. It's a bad signing. But we can't say that now. He's back on grass. We probably won't see him this week, but we'll probably see him after the international break. Let's assess him between then and the November international break. Let's assess him playing regular football. The same with Elanga. Elanga's been a bit part. He's been in and out. That's been because of rotation and keeping players fresh. Give him a run of games. Let him play the next 2 games. Let's see what he's all about, playing back-to-back games. Let's see what he's all about. And Wisa hasn't even trained with the club. It's a bad signing. The guy hasn't even kicked a ball wearing a Newcastle United training kit on the training ground yet, because Congo are a bunch of clowns.
I knew
Yes.
They shouldn't have, right? Because they should have managed his minutes, because they're a bunch of amateurs, right? So you can't take the reason for the bad signing, because it's his country that's let him down. And there's a reason why we're potentially going to be paid for however long after October the 7th if he's not back playing at that point. So don't blame him. Don't call him a bad signing when he hasn't even kicked a ball in anger for Newcastle United. Let's wait and see. Let's, on after the derby on the 13th of December or whenever it's played, if it's moved for TV or whatever, let's assess him then when he goes away for the African Cup of Nations, right? Let's assess what he does between now and then. And I'll tell you that for something. When we have that conversation after that derby, I think we'll be having a different conversation about all 3 of those players, John. That's what I'm going to put out to you. And if I'm wrong, I'll hold my hands up. But I'm backing these boys to do the business.
Fair play. Right, last question, boys. As things stand right now, Daz, I'm going to come to you. Derek Sharp wants to know, where do you honestly think we will finish this season? Derek says 11th.
No, higher than 11th.
Higher.
And I see people saying, well, that we're asking the question, would we finish above Sunderland? The answer is yes. I think we'll finish 6th.
Pete?
I'm not changing my opinion after 6 games in the Premier League. I want us to finish 5th. We need to finish 5th. We need back-to-back Champions League. I'm going to stay that way for now. I'm going to stay that way.
Yeah.
The season isn't decided on 6 games. It's not even decided on 12 games. We've seen so many teams in the past that have been looking like they're completely dead and gone by 12 games, 13 games, and all of a sudden, come April, everyone's going, where's this team come from? Newcastle United.
Yeah. I'm gonna stick with my initial prediction too, and I'm going to say fourth. I still think we'll finish fourth, and the reason I think we'll finish fourth is because there's 3 teams who were better than us, and that's Liverpool, Arsenal, and Man City. I look around the rest of the league still, and I still don't think Chelsea, Villa, Forest, Tottenham, Man United, I still don't think they finish above us. So on that basis, and because I don't think anybody else can finish above those teams in terms of, you know, competing for that top 4, top 5, I think we'll finish fourth. I think we're the best outside of those top 3. So I'm going to say fourth.
So you don't think Sunderland are getting Champions League football next season? So that's
no, sadly, I don't think they're going to get it.
Oh,
No.
please.
Because they're sitting in 5th. That's why I say it.
Anyone in the chat that keeps talking about Sunderland, please don't. Please don't. They've just come up from the Championship. They spent a shed load of money, right? They're having their honeymoon period. Of course they are. They're brand new to the Premier League. But when it kicks in, they'll start losing games, start making rubbish decisions. Look at who Sunderland have played. Let's have a look at it. When we played Villa away, we played Leeds away. Always a difficult game, but historically, no matter what, even Bournemouth drew and probably should have lost there yesterday. And Bournemouth have had a fantastic start to the season. Right. And then we've had Liverpool at home. And then we've had Arsenal at home. We've beat the team that we expected to in Wolves. Come on, man. But Sunderland have had a very, very comfortable set of fixtures to begin with. They haven't even played any decent sides yet. And when they do, they get their asses handed to them, right? And it won't be long before the tables have turned. Let's not make, Sunderland have had a great start to the season. I know the media are talking about it. Come on. Of course they want to talk about it because they want to create that narrative that Sunderland are doing better than Newcastle. Of course they want to do that. Let's not rise to that nonsense. Right? Sunderland will drop off. Sunderland will be bottom half of the Premier League. I think they'll stay up, but they'll be bottom half. Newcastle United, I'm putting it out there, will not be bottom half, and I'm confident that we won't be bottom half because we've got a better team, a better squad of players, better individuals than them. Right, we just need to gel, click, get used to playing with each other. We've got a big squad of players and 4 competitions. Let's just put things into perspective when looking at Sunderland because they're not that good. They're just not having a good start, but over the course of the season, they're not that good. They're just not.
None of us are worried about them, by the way.
Just to clarify. You know what? Just to carry on from what you were saying, then, Pete. I know people are, you know, a little bit down in the dumps and a little bit negative, and some people enjoyed my prediction of fourth. But like I said to you boys in previous weeks, you know, you look at the teams around us who are going to be competing for that top 5-4. Look at what Chelsea are doing. Chelsea are not in good form. Tottenham just managed to scrape a point against Wolves at home. Villa, yeah, they got the win and now they're on the equal points as us, as you rightly say, Pete, but they've not been playing well. Tottenham, Villa, Chelsea. So if you take out Tottenham, Villa, Chelsea, and do we even have to talk about Man United? Do we even have to go there? So who else is going to finish 4th and 5th? If you're already looking at those teams and going, well, you know, that because we've not had a great start, as everyone said, and I think the start's looking worse now, obviously because we didn't manage to pick up 3 points today. But as Pete said, we've had some tough games. Yeah. Wait until we've played some games where we're at home, and we pick up those wins. All of a sudden, it changes a lot. It changes a hell of a lot. Like everyone's gone on about Liverpool and how fantastic they've been, and you know, Liverpool are going to run away with it, and blah blah blah. Arsenal 2 points behind them.
Thanks to us today. That's a bonus from today.
Yeah, Arsenal are now 2 points behind them. So it just shows you how tight the league is.
Liverpool will drop points. Liverpool will drop more points. Their defence is not good. Their team is not good right now. I know they've been getting results, but they've been getting late goals. A bit like Arsenal, they've been relying on late goals to keep them in games and win matches for them. That can't continue. How many times have it's been said they can't sustain that over a period of time? But as you said, Chris, you look at the teams that are around that are likely to be in that conversation. You look at Brighton, you look at Forest, you look at Villa, you look at Man United, you look at Tottenham. Tottenham are probably the one performing the best out of that group of teams that we'd expect to be fighting for. But even they weren't good at the weekend. You know, like you look at the other teams, they've been as poor as we have. They've been as poor as we have, but we could argue that we've had tougher games than them. Like, it's all swings and roundabouts. It's easy to look at the situation and stop panicking. But the season's not defined after 6 games. It's not defined after 6 games. There's still loads more games to play. We will settle into this season. I think we had 11 points after 6 games last season, and we were playing shite. And we were like, how the hell did we get 11 points on the board at this point in the season? Now we're defensively strong. We're difficult to beat, but we're not scoring goals. And we're on 6 points after 6 games rather than 11. But if we turn that goal scoring around and stay defensively strong that we weren't last season, we will turn this around. There's no doubt about it. I'm looking at Friday said, like, we need fit. And that's what I'm saying. We have to get fit. I'm looking at Ravishing Rick Rude. You've got a great name. Great wrestler, by the way. Ravishing Rick Rude. But some of the comments that he's put, he's saying that, like, Wolves dominated us and that Sunderland will beat us. Come on, man. Are you a Mackham in this chat or what? This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. But that's sorry.
You know, I was going to say, and Freuden actually has it here as well, I see now. But Palace is no, they probably will drop at some point, but they've been doing, even towards the end of last season, they've been doing really well. And if Man United were to part company with Ruben Amorim, he's one they should go after, Glasner. But I hope they don't. And he'd be mad to leave as well, to go to join that.
Palace have got a thin squad, though. Keep an eye on Palace's thin squad. All they need is a couple of injuries, key players, and they are nowhere near the potent team that they are. They're a brilliant team and they're playing really, really well, but they have a very thin squad. And that with playing European football, that could potentially affect them. So that's it's one thing to keep an eye on.
Conference. I see we've got a new member as well. Espen Alexander Romero Borde. What a name. I love
What
it.
a name.
He's become a loaded ultra. Welcome to the family, Espen. Boys, that's I think that's it. We're going to start wrapping up, are we?
Yeah, I was just going to say, so thank you very much for becoming a loaded ultra, Espen Alexander Romero Borde. I loved his next comment. His first comment as a member. Gordon's bad.
He can only get better.
Yeah.
Isn't that a talking point? The fact that not just us, but so many people are now noticing how bad he is playing. One thing I noticed against Bradford is that instead of attacking his fullback, he kept cutting inside all the time and just giving the ball back to the midfielder or the defender. He should be dominating and attacking his fullback. He should be going at them, hammer and tong to literally pummel them into the ground. He's just not doing any of that. And it is ravishing with Rude. What are you on about?
If you were Thomas Tuchel now, Pete and Daz, if you were Thomas Tuchel now and you were taking an England squad, would you include Anthony Gordon to the World Cup?
No. Go on, Daz. Go on. Sorry.
But am I, as England manager, wanted to win the World Cup? You're putting me England manager here, Chris.
Why is Daz answering this question?
We do have a German manager, don't we? You know what I mean?
You do. Look, I think, and I know. I just think Andy Gordon is still going to come good. He's God, I sound like Graham Bay there, guys. But he's going to come good. We will see is more to come from Gordon this season. I must be quadrupling down on Gordon at this stage because it's I keep saying that, but I'll say this much: I had Anthony Gordon in my fantasy football team at the start of the season. I took him out when he got suspended, but I brought him back in again because I think he's going to get goals off Nick Woltemade. That didn't happen today.
At this moment in time, I think there's a big question mark whether Anthony Gordon gets called up to the next international squad, because I think both Grealish and Rashford are ahead of him, and they only picked 2 left wingers. And I actually think that needs to be the wake-up call for him. I actually think it'd be right for him not to get picked up for that squad, because he hasn't played anywhere near good enough to get picked for England. So for me, this is why I said it to you boys a while ago. I said, like, he's not guaranteed to go to the World Cup. He has to have a good season this season. He's not guaranteed. Grealish has just got Player of the Month. He's back. Grealish is playing fantastic football. I wish we'd have gone for him. I wish we'd have forgot his age and just paid the money to get him on loan. So I think he's the creativity, the spark that we miss in our team. I really do think we really miss that creative quality. But so you're telling me, of course, and I agree with you, pick Henderson like it's crazy, but at the same time, Anthony Gordon is not playing anywhere near as good as Jack Grealish and Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford's dunked on Gordon by scoring 2 fantastic goals in the Champions League against Gordon's Newcastle United. That puts him ahead of Anthony Gordon. Jack Grealish just got Player of the Month. He's only going to pick 2 left wingers. He can pick multiple wingers. Multiple midfielders to play that role. And everybody's questioning why he's picked Jordan Henderson. But for me, at this moment in time, he's not good enough to play for England. He's not good enough to get picked in that next international squad. I don't agree with it. And I actually think from a Newcastle perspective, it would be good if he didn't get picked, because that's the kick up the arse to say you need to be doing more, because he is not. He's paid as one of our most highest paid players at the club at this moment in time. He's not performing like it. It's a big question mark. People love Anthony Gordon, and I get it. Right? I want him to have a great season for us. But I'm sorry, if you're on big boy wages, you need to put big boy performances in, and he is not doing anywhere near that. That's the big question mark for me. If you want to take,
I'm going to say
performances in.
I'm going to say Gordon is going to pick up his performances for the rest of the season, and he's going to be in the England squad going to the World Cup.
He needs to.
He needs to.
I don't really care if he gets the World Cup or not, as long as he picks up his performances for us. Right, that's it, boys. We're going to bring it to a close. Thanks for sticking with us, and not an easy show for tonight after the manner in which we conceded the last minute or so. Champions League back again during the week, so keep an eye out for that, as well as for your top table talk as well. You may not see me for a little while. I may be out of action for a little while. I'll be back. Don't worry. I'll be back. But we'll see when that will be. Anyway, I'll play out with the Champions League one. No, I play out with the Radiators.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. Enjoy the last remaining hours of the weekend. See ya sometime soon. Good luck.